Okay, everybody, let's do a little summary of what we did today. So we went through the assignment first, and first of all, if A is positive, we know it opens up. If A is negative, it opens down. Then on the practice, we had to do it we had roots, so we start with root form. We plugged in the roots into the equation. Then we need to find the value of A, so I plugged in the point 2, -3 for y and for x. I found the value of A, 3/16. Put it in the equation. There's my first equation. Okay. Number 2, since the problem looks like this, we know the highest height, 20 meters, at 60 meters. We know that's a vertex. So we went to vertex form. So it had to be vertex, so I went to vertex form. Here's my h and k. I put my 60 in for h, my 20 in for k. But I still again needed A, so I needed another point. Since it started the value of 2, a height of 2, I have a second point, 0, 2. So to find the value of A, I have to plug in my 0 and my 2. I plugged in my 2 for y and my 0 for x. I simplified this into 3600. I subtracted 20 and divided by 3600, and I got about a negative 0.005. I put that back into the equation, and I ended up getting my answer. Now, then it says 100 meters. I just plugged the 100 meters into my answer, and I got 12 meters. 3, again, vertex. We have vertex HK. We plugged the 4 in for H, and the -3 for K. Again, I need the value of A, so I have to plug in a point. So here's my other point, 6, -1. -1 goes in for the Y. 6 goes in for the X. I simplified that's 2. 2 squared is 4. I'm going to solve for A. Plus 3 is 2. Divide, and I get 1/2. So I plug the 1/2 back in for the equation, and there's my equation. Okay. This will be helpful for the quiz. And then I went and I looked at the other one, which is solved for 3 equations, and I just kind of worked it through. I got my 3 equations by plugging in 2ax squared plus bx plus c equals y. I plugged equation 1 in for x and for y and made equation 1. I plugged 114 in for x and y, made a second equation. I plugged 0, 10, I like the 0, into the equation, 0 for x and 10 for y. And then what was nice about this one is I got a value of c. Now if I know c, I plugged it back here into my first equation. And I plugged it back here into my second equation. And I simplified. So this equation 4a minus 2b equals -2 is my fourth equation. And then I simplified this one, brought over my 10. A plus b equals 4 is my fifth equation. So I got 2 new equations, 4 and 5. Wrote them down here. The key here was to try and eliminate something. I thought the easiest thing to do is get rid of the b's. If I can make that a 2b. So multiply by 2. Then I rewrote equation 5, and the b's cancel, and I ended up getting A is 1. So once I get A is 1, I can plug that back into here. I plug 1 in, and I can solve for B, and B is 3. And finally, now I have A, I've got B and a C, and I can rewrite my equation in standard form. There's A, B, and C. Then I gave some notes on things we've had before, and that's how to graph. So, for instance, if I have to graph a parabola, I'm going to have the vertex, then I just go to the vertex. I got a point at -3, 2 for my vertex. Line of symmetry at x equals 3. I need another point. So I need just one more point. So I plugged in any number, but why not 0? 0 is the easiest one to work with, so I plug 0 into my equation, and I solve for it. I got 6.5. So I graph 6.5, 0, 6.5, and I can reflect that over with my line of symmetry, and there's my graph. Okay. And then I did an example 2 on graphing if it was in root form. So I know that I can get the roots from solving my mini equations. So I got 3 and -7. Those are my roots, or my zeros. And then I know the line of symmetry is right in the middle, okay? So we found the middle of that, which is at x equals -2. Or we can just average the roots. -7 plus 3 divided by 2. I get -2. Either way, there's so my vertex lies on this somewhere. So if I need to know where, I plug the negative 2 in. So I plug negative 2 in for x, for both x's. I simplified and I got negative 125. So I really had to change my scales, but I have the 2 roots, I have my vertex, and I graph it. Yeah, I had to change my scales dramatically to make negative 125 fit. And then finally on the third one is if it is in what we call general form, and I have to have negative b over 2a, have to define the line of symmetry. So this is the equation, negative b over 2a, a, b, and c. So negative b over 2a is a negative 8, negative 8 over 2 times 2, which is 8 over 4, which is 2. So my line of symmetry is at 2. So somewhere on this is my vertex. So I plug in my 2. I need to find its corresponding y value. Plug in my 2 in for x. Plug in my 2 for x. And plugged in 2 for x, and I get negative 13. So the vertex is at 2, negative 13. Now, I have one more point, and that is I know in general form that the c is the y-intercept. So I can graph my y-intercept at negative 5. I can fold it over and get a third point and graph my parabola. Okay, that's all I have. I did give homework, which was a worksheet, and the worksheet was the post-test, and that was what I did. And then we have our quiz on Monday. All right, we'll stop it there.